शक्ति बंधन अधिनियम।
स्त्रियों के योगदान की स्वीकार करने और उसके प्रति आभार व्यक्त करना का यह सबसे उचित समय।
महिलाओं को आरक्षण देने वाली राजनीतिक पार्टी भारतीय जनता पार्टी बनी।
Give us this day our equal rights. We hold up half the sky. Give us at least a third of our earth.
हमने विधायी कार्य की शुरुआत करते हुए नारी शक्ति को सही मायनों में नमन करने का काम किया है।
454 2/3 बहुमत द्वारा पारित हुआ।
That's right, a historic moment in the life of India's parliament and democracy. The Lok Sabha, moments away from passing the women's quota bill that will bring 33% reservation in parliament, in the Lok Sabha and in assemblies across the country. But meanwhile, there's a clamor for an OBC quota within a quota. How will that all impact 2024? And the key question, when will all this be implemented? Or is it, as I've been calling it, a bit of a post-dated check? That's the question we're going to raise tonight. But as always, first, the 9 headlines at 9. History in motion in the Lok Sabha. Women's Reservation Bill passed by an overwhelming majority in the lower house. It will go tomorrow to the Rajya Sabha for passage. 33% reservation in assemblies and parliament on the anvil. Clamour grows for an OBC quota within the women quota as Congress and other opposition parties demand OBC reservations within the women quota bill. Amit Shah calls it vote bank politics. Home Minister claims the BJP delivered an OBC PM. The Congress, Rahul Gandhi says, give us a caste census first. No timeline clear on when the Women Reservation Bill will be implemented. Government sources claim law can come into effect only earliest by 2029. Delimitation will take all states into consideration. Could take a long time. India issues a hard-hitting travel advisory against Canada. Cites politically condoned hate crimes as a cause of concern. Foreign Minister Jai Shankar meets Prime Minister to discuss Trudeau claims. Karnataka moves the Supreme Court to overturn Kaveri water release demand to Tamil Nadu. Says Kaveri reservoir levels are at a low, cannot release more water. Sunrise expected at Shiv Shakti point on the moon surface today. ISRO gears up to re-establish communication with Chandrayaan 3's Vikram lander and Pragyan rover on September 22nd. Narendra Modi government invites US President Joe Biden to be chief guest for the Republic Day parade in 2024. It's a wipeout Wednesday on Dalal Street. Over 2 lakh crore rupees wiped out as Sensex and Nifty fall more than 1%. All sectoral indices close in the red. The big breaking news this evening, history being scripted in Parliament in front of our eyes tonight with the Lok Sabha set to pass the Women's Reservation Bill. The amendments are being voted upon. The Women Quota Bill passed by an overwhelming majority. 454 were in favour of the original bill, 33% reservation that it promises in Parliament and assemblies. Only 2 people voted against. So the quota bill being passed there by an overwhelming majority at the moment. 454 in favour of the bill, just 2 voting against it. Now the Women Reservation Bill is being passed in the Lok Sabha with this big majority, but it comes after nearly 8 hours of a big debate in Parliament. Some of the debates were furiously combative. The Modi government ministers and the opposition crossed swords on a number of issues, including particularly that of OBC reservations. Should there be reservation for OBC women within the 33% reservation? I'll bring you the 5 big takeaways in a moment. But first, listen in to the key speakers as they faced off with each other.
मैंने ये सवाल पूछा कि ये जो 70 सेक्रेटरी हैं, 90 सेक्रेटरी हैं, ये जो हिंदुस्तान की सरकार को चलाते हैं, जो बजट को चलाते हैं, इनमें से ओबीसी कितने हैं? नरेंद्र मोदी जी प्रधानमंत्री हैं, ओबीसी के लिए काम करते हैं। मैंने यह सवाल पूछा, मैं आपको जवाब देना चाहता हूं। हिंदुस्तान के सेक्रेटरीज 90 में से सिर्फ 3 ओबीसी से हैं। और सुनिए, नहीं घबराइए मत, डरो मत। और सुनिए, ये जो सेक्रेटरीज हैं जो ओबीसी कम्युनिटी से हैं, ये हिंदुस्तान के सिर्फ 5% बजट को कंट्रोल करते हैं। दिस इज एन इंसल्ट एंड अ शेम टू द ओबीसी कम्युनिटी। ये ओबीसी कम्युनिटी का अपमान है।
हमारे साथी सांसद अभी चले गए, उन्होंने कहा जो लोग चलाते हैं, अब सब लोगों की अपनी अपनी समझ होती है। उन्होंने कहा कि देश जो लोग चलाते हैं उसमें सिर्फ 3 ओबीसी है। अब इनकी समझ है कि देश सेक्रेटरीज चलाते हैं, मेरी समझ है देश सरकार चलाती है। मान्यवर, संविधान की स्कीम है, देश की नीतियों का निर्धारण इस देश की कैबिनेट करती है, इस देश की सरकार करती है, इस देश की संसद करती है। और आंकड़े अगर आपको चाहिए तो मैं बता देता हूं, सुनने के लिए आप बैठे नहीं हो। भारतीय जनता पार्टी के सांसद में 29%, 85 सांसद ओबीसी कैटेगरी के हैं। कंपैरिजन करना है तो आ जाइए। और मान्यवर मंत्री भी 29 ओबीसी कैटेगरी के।
पिछले 13 वर्षों से भारतीय स्त्रियां अपनी राजनीतिक जिम्मेदारी का इंतजार कर रही हैं और अब उन्हें कुछ वर्ष और इंतजार करने के लिए कहा जा रहा है। कितने वर्ष? 2 वर्ष, 4 वर्ष, 6 वर्ष, 8 वर्ष? क्या इसके साथ ही कास्ट सेंसस कराकर शेड्यूल कास्ट, शेड्यूल ट्राइब, ओबीसीज की महिलाओं के आरक्षण की व्यवस्था की भी जाए। सरकार को इसे साकार करने के लिए भी जो कदम उठाने की जरूरत है वह उठाने ही चाहिए।
यूपीए जिसकी अध्यक्षा श्रीमती सोनिया गांधी हैं, उन्होंने कहा है नो सीट शैल बी रिजर्व्ड फॉर विमेन बिलोंगिंग टू शेड्यूल्ड कास्ट, शेड्यूल्ड ट्राइब्स इन द 3rd जनरल इलेक्शंस। आज की सरकार जब यह अधिनियम लागू होगा तब के बाद 15 वर्षों तक महिलाओं को रिजर्वेशन गारंटी करती है, मोदी की गारंटी है। लेकिन अगर कांग्रेस पार्टी का प्रस्ताव आप पढ़ें तो उनका प्रस्ताव ये था 2B और 3B में कि नो सीट शैल बी रिजर्व्ड for women in SC/STs in the 3rd general election, no seat shall be reserved for women in the 3rd general election. कांग्रेस का प्रस्ताव था कि 10 साल औरतें मेहनत करें, लेकिन 15वें साल में आपका अधिकार आपसे छीना जाएगा। आज मैं अभिनंदन करती हूं प्रधानमंत्री जी का, हमारे न्याय मंत्री का, जिन्होंने कांग्रेस की इस अभिलाषा को निराश किया।
Okay, so that's the fierce debate, and we'll have many more of the slices from the speeches of different MPs in Parliament. But I want to raise the questions that I think are critical to this debate. Will the OBC quota remain contentious? Remember, the opposition is calling for 27% or a certain percentage of seats to be reserved for OBCs within the 33%. When will this women's quota be implemented? There is no clear timeline as yet. It is to be implemented post-census and delimitation. So earliest could be 2029. Will the women's quota impact the 2024 polls that come a few months from now? I'm joined by special guest Supriya Srinath of the Congress, Shweta Shalini is spokesperson BJP. Also being joined by Dolly Verma, who is someone who works in a panchayat. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dolly. You are an NGU VU change leader. You work in a panchayat in Bihar. And I'm also joined by Reena Gupta, Aam Aadmi spokesperson. We'll be joined by many guests, including the likes of Uma Bharti, as the show goes on. Let me focus one by one on each issue. The first issue I want to take up, Supriya Srinath, is of OBC reservations. Because the Congress party, when it was in power, never called for OBC reservations. Sonia Gandhi very clearly said that you don't need OBC reservations within women's quota. If you want to give OBC women seats, please go and give them. Now Mrs. Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi are saying we want an OBC quota. What has changed?
Yeah, so before I answer that direct question, I think I would first want to congratulate all the other three panelists who are women, and I hope we'll see many more women in Indian polity. Because as a professional myself, I thought politics was the best way to bring about change, and I think half the country's population was waiting for something like this for over 12 years after it was first passed by the Rajya Sabha. Now let's understand what has happened, and without deflecting away from your question, which I have a direct answer to, and I will come to that, I want to emphasize here, women will have to wait not up until 2029 like we thought yesterday. Women will actually have to end up waiting up until 2039. And I will tell you why. Ministers in this government, the female minister who was talking, her colleagues from Parliament have all said and have all cited Article 82 and Article 83 subsection 1 of the Constitution, which clearly says that delimitation can happen after the census of 2031, which means if census happens by 2033, there will be 1.5 to 2 years for the delimitation commission. 2034 election is gone. It's only in 39 will Indian women get the 33% reservation that they have been waiting for. So it's a long wait of 16 years. Why has the government made reservation incumbent upon delimitation and census is an idea that fails me. I don't understand why have they done that. They could have just done 33% reservation. I think things be said this. The second important point, and I think that's a point my leadership did make on the OBC quota. In 2010, when the bill was first passed by the Rajya Sabha, a lot of water has flown under the bridge, Rajdeep. Today, income inequality is staring us in the face, and the worst affected are the marginalized communities, are the OBCs, are the SCs, are the STs. And I think political stance has to reflect with the situation and the clamor from the ground. There is a huge clamor from the ground for OBC caste census. And the government just doesn't seem to.
There was, ma'am, with due regard, Supriya Srinath, with due regard, ma'am, with due regard, ma'am, with due regard, this clamour was there even 15 years ago. The fact was the Congress at that time appeared to be behind the times. Now you've recognized that OBCs matter. No. So I think if we were behind time, then we are seeing the reality now. If there is a clamor for OBC reservation, who are we to deny them that? And I think political parties who are sensitive have to be agile and have to work with the realities on the ground. The whole COVID situation or the whole economic mismanagement or the mispolicies fired by the BJP have impacted the marginalized sections the most, OBCs included. And look at the income inequality. Look at their levels of education. Look at their levels of nutrition. Look at their levels of empowerment. It's baffling for me to believe that this government boasts of OBC MPs, but the condition of OBCs has worsened. And I think it's only fair. We have seen the writing on the wall, and the writing on the wall is that there is a clamor for caste census. People in this country want caste census. Who are we to deny them? And who are we to act as hurdles? And which is why women from the OBCs should also get reservation. It's a reality of our times. Let me also tell our viewers that one of the realities is the Prime Minister is on OBC. This government has 29% of its ministers as OBCs. The BJP has more than 112 MPs who are OBCs. So if there's one party that has been ahead of the curve on OBCs, it is the BJP. I'm putting down some of those numbers. But Shweta Shalini, if these are the numbers, Why doesn't
No,
the
you're
BJP?
wrong there. How
No.
are they ahead on the curve?
They
They have not even done a caste census that was long overdue.
No,
How are they ahead on the curve?
They are ahead of
Don't
the
make
curve.
these sweeping statements.
No, 1 minute, ma'am. They are ahead of the
No,
curve
they're
in
not
terms
ahead
of
the curve.
political
How are they ahead
representation
of the
for
curve?
OBC.
Just because Prime Minister is OBC means all OBCs are absolved of everything.
No,
Come
no.
on, Rajdeep.
No.
What has this government done on caste census? They have now been in governance for nearly 10 years. It's
Okay.
a straight question we are asking.
Okay. Ma'am, I'm putting
Mr.
down.
Gandhi,
Just a
when he
minute.
says that
Just a minute.
90
You've been an
secretaries in the
anchor
government of
yourself.
India
No, ma'am.
serve this government.
You've been
3
an
of
anchor
them are
yourself.
OBCs. That's it.
Allow me to explain to the viewers why I said what I said. It's important. The OBC vote for the BJP has been very high. The Prime Minister is on OBC. 29% of the ministers in this government are OBC. More than 110 BJP MPs out of 303 are OBC. So the one thing that is very clear is the BJP has been able to build an OBC vote bank for itself. Now, Supriya Srinath says, what about the caste census? Rahul Gandhi raised the issue, Shweta Shalini, that it's all very well to have women's reservation. The Congress supports it, but the Congress says OBC reservation. And while you have OBC reservation, give us a caste census so this country knows what is the percentage of OBCs in this country. Various figures are being thrown. Why is the government reluctant to have a caste census? Women's reservation is to switch the narrative from what the opposition wants, which is a caste census, so every Indian knows which caste has how much representation, and government schemes can then be targeted at them.
Great, Rajdeep. First and foremost, big congratulations to you and your entire panel today. I'm so glad that at least Supriya ji started on this positive note of congratulating the women of the country, because yes, this special session has been indeed special for women, and you, Rajdeep, have been a big supporter of women. Your wife is an empowered woman. Having said that, I'm also sorry, I apologize on behalf of Supriya ji. She just snapped at you badly, because I understand that this irritation comes from the credit that the bill has given to BJP, because they tried, they couldn't get the support of their partners then, and failed miserably.
Speak
and
for
now,
yourself, please.
Modi ji
You
has
don't need to
shown,
apologize or say anything on my behalf.
Modi ji has done what
Supriya ji,
is
she did not intervene
unimaginable.
with you. Yeah, go ahead, Shweta.
Yes, coming to your question, Rajdeep, I think like Supriya ji, I'm sure she did not hear what Amit Bhai said. Their leader also was absent. He asked those questions and ran away. This is exactly what Congress does. So definitely she would not have heard that Amit Bhai, the Home Minister, practically said that delimitation and all the necessary census requirements will be fulfilled immediately after the elections of 2024. And hence we will, there's absolutely no stone which is going to be
So it's a post-dated check.
to ensure
No, Shweta
that
Shalini,
implementation
Shweta Shalini,
will
with
happen
you,
in 2029.
ma'am, just a minute. Ma'am, just a minute.
Years,
No, so with due regard, it's a post-dated check.
Not 11 years. 27 years women have waited in this country for this right that they have to represent the unrepresented.
The women of this country, with due regard, ma'am, still do not know which is that election when this law will be implemented. There's still confusion. Will it be 2029? Will it be later?
Didn't you hear the Home Minister say that 2029 we will leave no stone unturned to ensure that it gets implemented? And yes, it is going to take that much amount of time.
Okay.
Can I please come in?
Yes, yeah, very quickly, yes, Supriya Srinath, respond to that. According to the Home Minister of the country, he did say that he hopes that it will be done by 2029.
So there are two things that I have to say. Firstly, don't lie through your teeth, just like your colleagues in Parliament do. Smriti Irani should have read the draft bill that was presented and passed by the Rajya Sabha before she was lying through her teeth in Parliament about SC/ST women quota expiring before 15 years. She was caught lying. You are also caught lying. Rahul Gandhi was very much there while Amit Shah ji spoke, the Home Minister. So don't lie. And you don't have to speak on my behalf and apologize and all that. Let's all talk about ourselves. We are all empowered women here. On a day like today, let's not take pot shots at each other and try and disempower people. There is one simple thing that I'm asking. From your leader Uma Bharti to multiple other OBC leaders in the BJP who have come on record and say there should be quota reservation for OBC women. Are you going to deny OBC women this opportunity? And you cannot run away with the fact just because the Prime Minister is OBC, OBC women should not have that reservation.
Can I just stop you there, Supriya, because I spoke earlier. Listen, ma'am, today is your day. I don't want to intervene with any women. I am delighted to see so many women speak in Parliament, in my studio. You all are better communicators than men and probably make better politicians than men as well. I just want you to listen to Uma Bharti and then get Shweta Shalini, my other guest, and I want to tell you Dolly herself is a sarpanch, a woman sarpanch from Bihar, so I want to hear her perspective as well. Just a minute. Uma Bharti, whom I spoke to earlier, I asked her, Uma ji, across the board, women are coming out in support of the women's bill. So why is it that leaders like you are suddenly once again bringing in OBC quota? Your own party is saying no need for OBC quota. Why is Uma Bharti saying you want an OBC quota now for women within this women's reservation, ma'am?
I expressed my happiness and pride when the Satra started from the new Parliament House and on Ganesh Chaturthi day, and it started with women reservation. For me, it was the moment of pride. But I never ever imagined, because I always was free and fearless and open out in public about my stand and my issue on the OBC reservation, because OBC are around more than 60% in this country, and they are the ones who are running the house, running the country, running the Parliament House and running the country, and their women should be given a separate reservation, because ST/SC reservation is a compulsion. So they will be there, it will be there in the women reservation. But other seats will go to the people. I don't know who it will go. So it is very necessary to have the OBC. If you remember in 1996, when Devgowda ji brought it first time, I am the one who stood. And I told him to take it back and come with the amendment. Then he gave it to the standing committee, and after that it kept pending. And now Prime Minister is bringing it. So I think whole country and whole world is looking at us and looking at the Prime Minister, who has so much of sympathy for the OBCs. And now this is after so much of hard work. Then OBC started believing in us, liking us, because around 10-15 years back, OBC used to disbelieve us. They used to think there is no place for them in our party.
No, you want Umaji OBC quota within this reservation, but your political party should give tickets to OBC candidates. You see, my problem is the hypocrisy of parties. First of all, they don't give enough tickets to women. We have reached the stage of reservation because tickets were not given. Now you are saying give OBC women. What stops the BJP? You can give, if you are committed to OBC, all parties, give them tickets. Why do you need reservation every time?
This question is basically going against the reservation of any kind in this country.
No.
So we cannot discuss, because when the reservation was given to ST and SC, it was given after a much thought that there is a certain section of society which is deprived, and the deprived section has to come up to this certain standard, and because of that this women reservation also came. So in that ST/SC is a compulsion actually. But OBC will be totally left behind. So we cannot discuss this, that there should be reservation or there should. Then we have to have a separate platform to discuss the reservation.
No, the fact
I will not discuss only one particular issue on the reservation.
No, the fact is, Umaji, today if women are going to be given OBC reservation within women quota, then tomorrow men will say, give us also 27% OBC reservation for men in Parliament. The thing is, once you start giving reservations of this kind, it will never end. Give tickets. Why do you need quota? Give women, OBC women, tickets.
See, when the debate on the reservation started, Karpuri Thakur, Dr. Ram Manohar Lohia, and other people like Chaudhary Charan Singh, they all were in the favor of this also. So we cannot discuss this also right now, because the reservation theory is based on the unjust, and people have to be bring on the same. They have to be brought to the same level. That is the reason. So if you say that why don't have a trust on having this, that parties will give ticket automatically to the OBCs, then they will give to the ST/SCs also. So basically, actually, we cannot challenge the theory of reservation. So when then why the reservation for the women? They can give to the women. Women have become chief minister in this party. I was chief minister, Basundara was chief minister, there was a woman defense minister, there was a woman HRD minister, there was a woman water resource minister. So why the reservation for the women? So when there is a reservation, then there has to be special provision for the ST/SC and for the OBC women. And OBC I am saying because they are the biggest section of this country and they are running the country. They are not beggars.
Shweta Shalini, and then I'll come to my other guests. Respond to this. Supriya Srinath has raised that the BJP is running away. We heard BJP is running away from caste census. Uma Bharti is saying give OBCs reservation. I want clarity from you. Is the BJP willing to consider reservations within women's reservation for OBCs? This has been a long-standing demand among many parties, particularly Janta, the old Janta Parivar. All of the Hindi heartland parties want this. Are you ready to consider it? Then I'll come to my other guests.
Rajdeep, see, it's very clear. We've waited 27 years for something like this to happen. And when I say we, it is the women of the country, right? I think the first step has been achieved. And obviously, the second step is definitely going to be to look at the constitution and make the right kind of decisions regarding OBC and various other castes, because obviously, as Umaji said, they're 50% of the country today. But then, having said that, you know that, we will have to revise, we will have to look at the revision of the constitution. That has to be the second step. For that one step, should we go ahead and stop what women are getting at
so
this
you're
point
saying
of time?
this is
That
the first
question.
step. Okay.
Ram Manohar Lohia, that Umaji was talking about, he primarily said that the most marginalized of the entire country are women in itself, and they're 50% of the voters. So today we are talking about women, and then we will move on to the next step, talking about, trying to talk about OBC women. Now, ST, because the provisions in the constitutions already exist,
can I make a
that's
small
why
point?
ST has been considered. Now, OBC, if that provision needs to be considered, tomorrow the constitution will need to be revised. That will take a lot of time, and that is when Supriya ji, as she is putting it. And for Supriya ji, it's very simple. Did Congress have that in their bill? No, of course not. It is what it is.
Shweta Shalini, you made your point.
Partners.
Shweta Shalini, you made your point. I want Supriya Srinath to respond and then conclude this bit on OBCs, because, this entire issue was raised today by Sonia Gandhi, by Rahul Gandhi. It was raised by the Hindi heartland parties that have always raised it. Is the Congress basically doing this because you are targeting the OBC vote? Every party has realized today, Mahila vote and OBC vote. ये दो हमारे साथ आ जाए तो हम चुनाव जीतते हैं. That is the reality. The reality, according to me, Supriya Srinath, is the Congress has woken up to the fact that now OBC vote is with BJP. We need it on our side. That's the reality.
So I'm quite startled you say the Hindi heartland. You think the Tamil Nadu people don't want the caste census. You think people otherwise don't want caste census in Maharashtra and other parts of the country. Everybody wants a caste census. And that is a reality that the government is running away from. We have been saying, if you don't want to do a caste census, at least make the data public of the caste census that we have done. What is your problem? What is the rider?
How is caste census linked to OBC reservation? How is caste census linked to OBC reservation, ma'am? How is it linked?
Because, no, it is absolutely intrinsically linked. Because OBC population of this country has been asking for a caste census. And that will give us an idea of the kind of misery that they're living under, the kind of marginalization that they've seen, the kind of women representation that they must have. I don't think there's anything wrong in asking for women's reservation in that category. I just want to make one small point for 10 seconds and then you can move on to everybody else.
OBC?
And the small point that I want to make is that you've had a brute majority government in 2014, a brute majority government in 2019. You waited till the end of 2023 to get a women's reservation bill going. You could have got this done in 2018. We could have had reservations. Why have you put the caveat? Why are you making women of this country wait for multiple more years before reservation for them becomes a reality? That's a simple question that nobody in the BJP has an answer to, because this is yet another political jumla. कानपुर में एक मिठाई की दुकान है, उसका नाम है ठग्गू के लड्डू. वो कहता है ऐसा कोई सगा नहीं जिसको हमने ठगा नहीं. आपने देश की आधी आबादी को ही ठग लिया. अब वो, this is a carrot. It will keep dangling. God alone knows when this bill will be a reality. That's the reality of this bill.
I'll get Shweta Shalini to respond in a moment, but Reena Gupta and Dolly have waited very, very patiently. Reena Gupta, Aam Aadmi Party, does it have any issues at all with the Women Reservation Bill as it is today? I mean, shouldn't even your party be really have given more tickets to women? The truth of the matter is that's where political parties failed, which is why we've reached this day. Reservation, in my view, not ideal.
Rajdeep, we are very happy that the Women's Reservation Bill has finally been passed.
Having said that, I feel that it is another jumla by the Bharatiya Janata Party. Imagine a young woman watching your program today, a young woman who would want to contest. She would have to wait for at least another 15 years, and we don't even know whether it's going to be more than 15 years. So if the Bharatiya Janata Party really believed in women empowerment, they should have passed the Women's Reservation Bill as it was. 33% reservation for women without any riders, without any caveats.
No, so you're saying
no
it should have been
to...
in the 2024 elections itself? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely, Rajdeep. Because now it's a jumlebaji. 15 साल के बाद किसने देखा क्या होने वाला है? Why can't we have the Women's Reservation Bill for the upcoming Lok Sabha elections?
Okay.
That would have been a real victory for women across party lines. You remember, Rajdeep, in 2010, when it was passed through the Rajya Sabha, women across party lines, even women of BJP, they were rejoicing. How many women are rejoicing today? Because we know the reality. We know, we have seen how Bharatiya Janata Party keeps doing jumlebaji after the other. This is again another way of doing jumlebaji with the women of this country. The second point is, Rajdeep, the second point is, if you look at the bill, there is no system of rotation, of reservation. So what could happen is that the seats which any political party thinks are difficult to win, those could be the seats given to women. Again, women are not going to be then represented in the parliament. So these are the nuances that one has to look into if you really want women empowerment, if you really want 33% women in the
I
parliament.
want to make clear on the second point, ma'am. I have checked this. 1/3 of seats will be reserved for women and by rotation with a 15-year sunset clause. Over 15 years, the aim is to cover all 543 seats, is what the government tells me is the intent of the bill. We can go into the details, but I want to introduce Dolly.
No, Rajdeep, that's not what it is. It says till the next delimitation.
I want to introduce Dolly Verma not as the way she's listed as an NGU, VU change leader, but as a woman sarpanch. Correct me if I'm wrong. You're from Bihar, Dolly, and you're a woman sarpanch.
Yes,
so
yes.
you have a ground reality.
Yes, yes.
One of the things that we believe is that women in local bodies are being dictated to by men. Sarpanch pati. The man decides what the woman will do, often the husband of the a woman sarpanch. Is that true, or do you believe even in Bihar women ab empower ho gaye hain because of reservation?
So it's not black and white, Rajdeep. I mean, this has been a journey of empowerment, and if you say that Sarpanch Pati culture, it is not only in Bihar. I mean, it is something which is prevalent in whole India. However, even my current ongoing campaign, which is No to Sarpanch Pati culture, is about that. Having said that, it doesn't mean that reservation doesn't help. I am myself second time sitting Sarpanch in Gram Panchayat of Gaya, and I have seen my colleagues who are elected Sarpanches, who are elected Mukhia. They have resumed leadership themselves.
So you're telling me that once a woman becomes a sarpanch, even in Bihar, she's able to assert herself. You have been able to assert yourself.
Yes, for sure. And I mean, because I have that privilege, that I am educated and I have got all the opportunities. However, there are some women who didn't get so much, opportunity to study and to explore. For them also, I am speaking on behalf that yes, this reservation in local governance has helped them not only in their family but in society, and it also give direction to the new people, to the young girl, to the youth who really want to come in politics and they want to grow in politics.
Dolly, that's excellent to hear. I want my panel to wait for a moment. I'm joined by another guest who's just come out of Parliament. Mahua Moitra spoke today in Parliament, MP of the Trinamool Congress also now joining me. Mahua Moitra, big day for women. Should we be celebrating, or are you like those who believe that you want to press the pause button because this could be a post-dated check? We don't know when it will be implemented. Do you believe 2 cheers today and 3 cheers only when the law actually is implemented?
Rajdeep, like I said, that Mamata Banerjee and the Trinamool Congress have already implemented this. The question is not of us supporting the bill and us celebrating. I think this is a question you need to ask the ruling party. They are the ones who haven't implemented this. You don't need a law to tell someone to put 33% women in parliament. We've done it without a law.
You run the BJP, just do it. You don't need a law to tell you to do the right thing. You just do it.
No,
So
one
we
minute,
put
Mahua Moitra. The Trinamool had 17 out of the 42 candidates in the Lok Sabha were women, 2019. Yes, well over 33%. That's almost 41%. But when it came to the assembly, out of 294, you had about 50 women who are given tickets. Now that's less than 20%. So I want to get it very clear. Are you, do you believe that the way out should have been tickets for women rather than reservation?
Look, no, not at all. It's very clear. Why did our founding mothers, there were 15 women in the Constituent Assembly, and they all unanimously voted to not have any special reservation for women because they fundamentally believe in an India which would award women on merit. Now, unfortunately, 75 years later, we've found that that hasn't been the case. Men in India have simply not agreed to give women an equal share of the sky and half the earth as they should. So failing that, when you don't have chief ministers like Mamata Banerjee, when you've obviously got leadership like the BJP that cannot break out of their patriarchal hegemony, in that case, what you need is a law.
No, one minute. Why? No, 1 minute. No, ma'am, let's be clear. On patriarchal, the patriarchy exists across all parties. Yes, the Trinamool Congress, led by a woman, has shown the way, conceded. Yes. But the truth of the matter, Mahua Moitra, is that almost every party has over the years not given enough tickets to women.
There are two things. Please let me finish. Don't confuse the issue. There are two issues. One is, do you support women's reservation? That's a stupid question to even ask the Trinamool Congress, but of course we do. We've done it before anywhere else. We support it. We are living proof that it can be done and you don't need a law to do it. But if this country needs a law, and it appears that we do need a law after 75 years because other parties still haven't done it, we need a law. But then this is not the law. This is, like I said, a reservation rescheduling bill. This is dependent on on delimitation, which is dependent on the next census. We haven't got the 21 census yet. When is the next census going to come? After that, you're going to have delimitation. Have you seen what delimitation will throw up? It will increase Kerala by 0%, Tamil Nadu by 26%, Andhra by 30%, and it will increase Rajasthan by 100%, UP and MP by 79%, Bihar by close to 90%. Do you think the southern states are going to accept this lying down? That they have been.
So you're saying the bill has been pushed forward. Effectively, you're saying it's been implemented. It's been passed, but the implementation could take years. That's your concern. Am I correct?
Implementation could take absolutely, and the implementation is dependent on delimitation. The current delimitation, based on population numbers, awards those states that have not been effectively be able to check their population, and disincentivizes those states that have actually done a good job of doing what they should have done. So under this situation, we are sitting on a powder keg. Come delimitation, please mark my words, this is not going to be easy. Delimitation, where the northern states are in a disbalanced manner, increase their proportion representation in parliament at the expense of the southern states, is not going to be easy to implement.
Let me ask you therefore,
and delimitation is not going to be easy, and hence to put hence to link the women's reservation to delimitation merely means that this is a legally mandated procrastination, a legally mandated delay. Nothing more. If you want to do it, put your money where your mouth is. Do it now based on the voters list.
Let me therefore ask you one final question before I go back to my panel, because the fact is, Mahua Moitra, do you believe this has therefore been done with 2024 in mind? Narendra Modi ji, Amit Shah ji will go to the people and say, "Humne mahilaon ko arakshan diya, vote for us." Women will vote for them.
Of course, today for the first time I saw the Prime Minister usually comes into the house, speaks and leaves. Today he was sitting there for close to 3 hours while voting was going on. I think it's the longest he's ever spent in the Lok Sabha. Why was he doing this? Because when he will go out, the media will see him and the media will all say, wow, this Prime Minister, to get his women's reservation bill that is so close to his heart, sat in the house. Exactly.
But he's passed it.
Women's reservation,
he's passed it.
It's a jumla. What has he passed? Has he passed a women's reservation bill? Is it going to be implemented in 24? Is it even going to be implemented in 29?
Okay.
It's like the NRC and the CAA. Have they implemented it? They got the votes in Bengal. The Hindu votes in Bengal based on this CAA, NRC has to have even the guidelines.
Okay, I think I get your point.
This is a complete election jumla for them to go out and thumb their chest.
Okay, so you're saying it's an election. So you're applauding and supporting the women's reservation bill, but you're questioning the manner in which it is being linked to delimitation and therefore saying it's an election jumla. Okay, Mahua Moitra.
If you really wanted to do it, you could have done it. You're not doing it.
Okay, Thank you very much for joining me. I want to go back therefore to Shweta Shalini, because you're getting it from all sides, ma'am. Every speaker on this program from the other parties is raising the question of delimitation. If you were serious about women's reservation, why link it to an uncertain process like delimitation that could take years? It could take a decade before we will have women's reservation. Why should I then applaud anything that happened today? If the Prime Minister and the Home Minister were serious, they could have said what Supriya Srinath is saying, implement it in 2024. Forget OBCs, but implement it.
Rajdeep, I can hear you and all the other people on your panel talk the same thing, like mandir wahi banayenge but date nahi batayenge. There was a time that everybody said, oh, I can give it to you in writing. The 370 clause is never going to be abolished. But here, hail today, we have mandir date coming by very, very close in January. And Article 370, which is gone and finished.
Give me a women reservation date. Give me the date when I can pop the bubbly and celebrate.
Home Minister has already given the date.
No, he has not given the date. He has said he hopes.
He has said that in 2029 we hope to have to see it implemented, and we are very sure that we are going to be getting it implemented. And as far as Supriya ji is concerned, I want to tell her, ये ठग्गू के लड्डू नहीं है, ये शादी के लड्डू हैं. जो खाएगा वो भी पछताएगा, जो नहीं खाएगा वो भी पछताएगा. And I really want to ask her if she knows who the two people in the parliament are who did not support it, considering that they are also gungo about OBC, quota within the quota. Were there these two people from her party who not vote for this bill?
Can I please come in?
Yeah, I'll give you a final word, Supriya Srinath. Today, I've decided
Can I please make a
the women are going to take over. We are going to hear more from you. Go ahead.
I just have something to say. She talked about Amit Shah ji hopes the bill will be a reality in 2029. I hope that one day Mr. Modi and your government will stop lying, because achhe din, 15 lakh in every account, doubling farmers' income, $5 trillion economy, a roof on every head, the 100 smart cities. These were tall promises that you made. And where are those promises? Is there a timeline? Is there a sunset clause to any of those promises? No. And which is why I say the Women's Reservation Bill is a carrot that they have dangled. Ek jumla inhone diya hai desh ki aadhi abadi ko. They will wait for another 16 years before it becomes a reality. Too much water had flown under the bridge. This could have been historic. This could have been done with immediate effect. Putting caveat and riders has only made half the country's population wait for more time, and shame on you for doing that. You could have won this historic moment. You could have made this a reality for women, but you chose not to.
Why are you so unhappy,
and that tells you your real intention.
Why are you so unhappy, Supriya ji? Today is a day to celebrate. You and me should celebrate.
You cannot do anything for women.
She wants you to celebrate together. Supriya ji, Shweta Shalini saying celebrate.
But I am just telling you and exposing
Today is
your
a day to
hypocrisy.
celebrate. As women, we are going to see you in the parliament soon.
I am only exposing your hypocrisy, my dear.
Reena Gupta, you want to celebrate?
Okay. 2 crore rozgar, so smart city. That's what this government is all about. Jumlas.
Okay, Reena Gupta, you want to celebrate today or not?
Rajdeep, I want to celebrate, but there is no reason to celebrate. It's a clear jumla, as we have all been saying, like all the other jumlas that they've been throwing at the country, Naukri, Rozgar, Mehengai, all of that. This is just another jumla, and Bharatiya Janata Party is the most anti-women party.
Okay.
They have Braj Bhushan Sharan Singh in their party still. So one actually does not expect them to do anything for the women of this country. But they should not think that we are fools. We are not fools.
Clearly,
we can see
Reena
through
ji,
what you have done today. We have seen what you have done today.
I will go to Dolly.
Let me not black the statistics. I have all over it, right from having your maiden name on your passport to actually running down on Foxo law. I think I can go unlimited.
Madam, then this was not the purpose.
You can't match us on statistics.
Volumes down. The idea today was, in a way, to reflect on the bill's strengths and weaknesses. Certainly, the question mark over delimitation is there. Will that then lead to this bill simply being kicked forward like a lot of laws in this? But Dolly, I want to give you the final word, because it is impressive to have a young woman, Sarpanch from Bihar, on my program today. What's your message? Are you happy today, or are you also worried, will you actually get women's reservation in parliament and assemblies?
Rajdeep, certainly I am happy about it because we've been waiting for this for last 27 years. At least this government has made it passed in Lok Sabha and hopefully tomorrow in Rajya Sabha, which none of the government was able to do. So we have to actually applaud this government at least for doing it. Yes, I completely understand that we have to wait for some time and that time is still uncertain. But yes, when I speak from someone who is sitting on in local governance and look forward to grow in politics, certainly I am very much hopeful about it.
Okay.
And
I
being good
hope
this
to see
government.
all four of you in Parliament one day. Supriya Srinath, I'm sure you will be there sooner rather than later. Reena Gupta,
15 lakh Dolly Vermas are elected today because Rajiv Gandhi took the affirmative action on Panchayati Raj that he did.
Ma'am, that is
15 lakh Dolly Vermas, and that's what we should be proud about. That is what we need to work towards.
And Supriya
But
ji
this reservation,
will
this
come to the
reservation was
Parliament
there.
2029
Okay.
because today in the special Parliament Narendra Modi ji passed that bill. Thank you.
Your name is Shweta
Okay,
Shalini,
ma'am,
please don't shout.
that's it.
You
On
just
that
have
note,
to ensure
let's, Rajiv Gandhi in 1989 did bring in what is a landmark legislation which gave the likes of Dolly a chance to be sarpanches. All credit to that. And if Prime Minister Modi acts on what he's done, ensures delimitation within a time frame, at least latest by 29, there must be a commitment. He too will have passed a landmark legislation. Now, talking of landmarks, I want to turn for a moment to another debate that took place in Parliament. Today was a rich day in Parliament. You had the Women's Reservation Bill being debated in the Lok Sabha. In the Rajya Sabha, there was an excellent debate. At least some of the debaters were really first rate when it came to Chandrayaan. Among them was Jairam Ramesh. I would urge you to look at his speech on YouTube to simply understand the history of India's space research. Because, as he rightly said, space research is a symbol of continuity from Jawaharlal Nehru to Narendra Modi. Listen to Jairam Ramesh's excellent speech today.
In July of 1979, our first SLV launch failed. Dr. Kalam was in tears. So Dr. Satish Dhawan said, I am your leader. I will take responsibility for the failure. You sit at the back. That is leadership. In August of 1980, the SLV-3 succeeded. Dr. Dhawan said to Kalam, Kalam, you take credit for this. I will sit at the back. This is leadership. Leadership is not taking credit when things are going good and run away when the things are going bad. Leadership is when you have the courage to take the responsibility for things that are going wrong as much as you take credit when things are going right. So this is the milestones of a successful journey, sir. I would like to urge all of us to please look at our space program fundamentally as an instrument of development and not as an instrument of muscular nationalism.
Honorable Prime Minister stood next to Professor Sivan, the scientist, during the launch of Chandrayaan-2, which in the last minute, unfortunately, broke all our hearts and disappointed all of them as much as the scientific community when it just couldn't land. Standing next to him, who had tears in his eyes, Mr. Sivan had tears in his eyes, Prime Minister had said, last night, when he stood with him, I understood your frame of mind. The look in your eyes said a lot. That is why I did not stay here for long. We might not have reached the lunar surface as planned. You came as close as you could, stay steady and look ahead. We are full of confidence when it comes to our space program. The best is yet to come, unquote. These are not words of any muscular nationalism. These are truly the words of a Prime Minister who wants to stand next to his scientists, even at the time of disappointment, as much as the time of success. So to decry this and to say, oh, you stop your muscular nationalism, is a bit of a perversion, which I think somebody from Jairam Ramesh's experience, I wouldn't expect.
I think we should end tonight with what I call my Get Real India segment, because politicians are often cut off from the reality on the ground. While we are celebrating G20, Chandrayaan and even Women's Reservation, here is a story that should tell you sometimes what's happening on the ground. Employees of Ranchi's ailing public sector unit, Heavy Engineering Corporation, are now selling momos and driving auto rickshaws to survive. They claim they haven't been paid salaries for the last 20 months and they are up in arms demanding immediate payment from the center of their salaries. Tonight, while we celebrate a good day in Parliament, we also need to recognize the reality on the ground. That's what I will continue to do on the news today. Think about it, stay well, stay safe. Good night, Shubhratri. Watch this report, Get Real India.
Kaushal Kishore is an employee in the ailing Ranchi-based public sector unit, the Heavy Engineering Corporation. Kishore and his wife are now forced to sell momos to make ends meet as he hasn't received the salary for the last 20 months. Many HEC employees face the same plight.
हमारे बहुत ऐसे साथी हैं जो छोटे छोटे दुकान का इडली है, मोमोज है, इस तरह का दुकान खोल के बैठे हुए हैं और मतलब अपने मजबूरी में काम कर रहे हैं।
बच्चे का भविष्य अधर में है, सभी स्कूलों से नाम काट दिया जा रहा है, उनका फीस नहीं दिया जा रहा है और तरह तरह की परेशानी आ रही है, जिससे हम लोग का तो भविष्य बेकार हो ही गया, हम लोगों के बाल बच्चों का भी भविष्य बेकार हो गया।
HEC employees who are up in arms against the centre for non-payment of salaries recently staged a dharna outside the Raj Bhavan in Ranchi.
HEC को बेचने का साजिश बंद करो।
60 साल की पुरानी मशीन से कोई आज के कंपटीशन कर सकता है? नहीं कर सकता है। हमारा 60 साल का पुरानी मशीन से आपको बता दें, 7 दिन पहले हमने भेजा आदित्य L1 के लिए सामान बना के भेजा है।
The employees claim that the PSU played a role in manufacturing key components of all 3 Chandrayaan missions. But the claim has been rejected by the government. The Press Information Bureau has clarified that the HEC was not entrusted with the manufacturing of any components for Chandrayaan. The government admitted that the HEC had supplied some components to ISRO from 2003 to 2010. With Lok Sabha and Jharkhand Assembly polls scheduled for next year, the plight of HEC employees has become a political issue in the state. With Satyajit Kumar in Ranchi, Bureau Report, India Today.